When people talk about the characters of Dungeon Meshi, most conversations fall on the main cast. Laios, Marcille, Chillichuck, Senshi, and Phelan. They're the main characters, so that's fair. But I feel like the rest of the cast, some of which are very important to informing characteristics of the main cast, tend to get glossed over. And I feel like that's a shame, because there's some great writing there. Let's talk about Shuro. We're introduced to him alongside the rest of the Totem party at the start of the story. When they get wrecked by the Red Dragon, Namari and Shuro give Marcille their resignations from the party. We see Namari next much sooner, having hooked up with a different party, sincere in her sentiment that she left the Totems because things were too dangerous with them and she wanted to save her own skin. Shuro, however, is different. We get an offhanded comment that he was planning on proposing to Phelan, which would indicate that he cared at least somewhat about her well-being. And as it turns out, this is true. After leaving Laios and the others, he went back to his homeland and recruited members for a whole new party of his countrymen, with him at the head, for the sole purpose of going down into the dungeon and saving Phelan. And this facet of his character, his adoration for Phelan, is the crux of his character. There's plenty more to him, but everything kind of orbits this. An observation made in the universe is that Shuro recruits a party entirely of women, at least one of which is openly attracted to him. Shuro's brother even comments on how much he'd wish to be in such a position, adventuring with a bunch of cute girls. But Shuro expresses nothing but a drive to save Phelan upon his return to the dungeon. Before we continue with the main plot, let's rewind a bit and look at Shuro's relationships with the Totem party prior to their loss to the Red Dragon, particularly Laios. It's not too far of a stretch to say that, intentional or not, Laios is autistic. He hyperfixates on special interests, misses subtle social cues, and doesn't react to situations the same way everyone else does. And Shuro plays a very important role in informing this part of the story. Shuro hails from a culture with complicated, subtle social customs. With how he was raised, it's rude to deny someone a request. But it's also rude to make a request at someone else's expense, or ask them something you can infer they want to say no to but can't without being rude. For example, at camp, Laios asked endless questions about Shuro's homeland. While the samurai was tired and just wanted to go to bed, he considered it rude to do so, and stayed up talking to Laios. However, by his people's customs, it was rude of Laios to do this while Shuro hinted at wanting to go to sleep. And this relationship is one of the most important to informing Laios' character. Socializing is difficult. Different peoples and different cultures have different societal rules, and someone with difficulty in their own culture is going to have trouble picking up the social cues of another's. All this is to say the two didn't get along very well prior to the Red Dragon fight. And this is most likely the strongest reason why Shuro broke away to form his own party to tackle the dungeon and save Phelan. When he finally catches up to the Totem party and learns Marcille resurrected Phelan with dark magic, he's horrified and says that he's obligated to report the usage of it to the authorities that monitor the adventurers. However, he gives Laios a magic bell that can teleport them to Shuro's homeland so they can escape, and even concedes that while he finds dark magic abhorrent, he would have probably done the same to save Phelan. And having caught up to the party, our last point is his relationship to Phelan relative to Marcille's. Phelan is a great deal like her brother. Both were shaped by being treated differently by their parents, so they're not one-to-one. But Laios' difficulty with social cues, his interest in monsters, his general dork-ass weirdness, that's all present in Phelan too. But Shuro treats it differently when it comes from her. Traits that he finds irritating in Laios, he pretends to like when they come from the girl he likes. And that insincerity is what differentiates his attraction to Phelan from Marcille's relationship with her. Marcille will tolerate eating monsters prepared by Senshi because he's such a talented chef. But she still finds it conceptually repulsive and doesn't hide this, regardless of whether the enthusiasm for it comes from Laios or Phelan. And not only is it sincere, it's respectful. Marcille isn't raining on their parade over something they find engaging and interesting. She expresses what she feels, but still gives them room to be themselves without judgment. And this is honestly realistic. Love is complicated. People are complicated. When someone opens up with everything they are, it's not likely that you'll love literally every single part of them. I don't think Shuro's feelings for Fallon are superficial or anything. I think he does love her. But he loves her while tolerating the parts of her he doesn't like. Marcille loves Phelan while accepting the parts she doesn't like. And that's why, in the end, Phelan rejects his proposal. Shuro's not the most involved or complicated character. He's not some Shakespearean hero with whole plays worth of lore and characterization behind him. But he serves a very important role in the narrative, supporting or informing the arcs and development of the main cast. And without him, that narrative just wouldn't work as well. And I think that's neat.